We are working on this dump truck today. This used to be my dad's, and I'm trying to sell it. It needs a couple of things repaired on it. The tarp isn't spooling in. I've noticed it's missing some bolts, probably from both sides, but that side drives it. It's missing some bolts. It's missing a brake line that I robbed for my dump truck, and underneath this box in the front is where the PTO, power takeoff, lives, and there's a shaft that runs between it to the engine. I've got that shaft out of it because the PTO has a seal that is leaking. I might fix the cab. This is why you don't text and drive. I might tell you that story in a bit. This has a little Cummins in it, a little 8.3. Actually runs pretty good. It's got no power, but that's fine. The exhaust brake lets you stop like the big boy engines, so that kind of makes up for it. First issue's quick. It's leaking leaking air out of there. No, it's not. I was wondering, it never had an air leak before, and it's been sitting here hissing, so that's cool. This hose clamp's sure doing a lot. I don't even know why it's here. I just found it floating there. Fascinating. The light's on in here. Now I can actually see what we're doing. I was trying to get you guys a good view of the drive shaft, but my memory served wrong. It runs from back here up there, so that's going to be an underneath job. Funny enough, I thought I robbed the line. I didn't. I just robbed that fitting. So I'll have to get one of those. And I'm going to have to change these wheels back over. These wheels are from my truck, and I put them on this truck because my tires were worn out anyways. Obviously I'm going to have to switch those back to sell this thing. So the drive shaft goes up in there, and it goes onto here, but have a look at this. So hopefully you can see that. The seal is pulled out of the PTO shaft, and there's a snap ring right there that's come loose. So we just got to push that seal back in gently and get that C-clip back in place. So this hose, that one's not looking the greatest. I gotta learn to aim the camera. Anyways, yeah, these hoses run all the way back to the oil tank, and that's the way this truck powers its hydraulics for its dump box and high lift and stuff. Most PTOs will actually run off the transmission or off their own little shaft, and you can see why. Look at all the extra hose all the extra hose that can just lay around and rub on stuff for no reason. I don't know if any of my viewers are heavy equipment sort of guys, but this is a Sterling truck. So in, I think it was 1998 or 9, Ford transitioned from my style of dump truck to this sort of style of dump truck with the rounded doors and stuff. And with that came the acquisition of Sterling, or with the Sterling acquisition came plastic Fords. There's actually a lot of parts on this truck that will say Ford on them, believe it or not. There's also a lot of parts that say Freightliner on them, so there was something that went on there. But anyways, those of you that know Sterlings know they're just not good trucks. Same as Freightliner, same as International. Their wiring is horrendous. I don't know, they're not great. Look at the state of the dash in this thing. Look at the state of the dash. It's all taped and glued, and it was broken when we got the truck home. I tell you what, it's just gotten worse. Mastercraft. I don't have a single Mastercraft tool. I do have a want for coolant though. I went and grabbed the drive shaft for it, so it's just a regular drive shaft looking thing that you'd find in a car or in a pickup, but it runs the PTO. So one thing I did notice is there's a keyway slot, but no keyway. I don't know if it's in the truck or I don't know if it fell out. What do you do? This was just sitting in there in the grill. And now you can see a lot better where I'm working, so just right here is this seal and stuff. So it can't really get better until it gets worse, so we're going to start off by pulling that C-clip. So I'll tell you what, spring clips like this aren't that bad to deal with when you've got access to a line of sight. When you can't see, folks, things become very difficult very quickly. Okay, sir, clip. First, I would like you out. Thank you. So I can feel that the seal's pushed out, and I know I can see it. I'm going to try to find a socket that fits over that and just give it some love taps. Okay, I got a socket on it. Okay, I think it might have actually been that easy. I can't really see from the top, but I can from the bottom, and that worked. Spectacular. I also noticed there's no C-clip. Sorry, there's no keyway here, but the drive shaft has a screw in it that goes into this hole. So, and I'm seeing it where the keyway sat here. There was no keyway ever in it. You can see the mark, so that's all right. That's what that end looks like. So the drive shaft is going to sit up against that. There's 4 bolts to go in it, and I don't think you're going to be able to see much. I'll try to put you in a spot you can see. The drive shaft slides onto this end, and it bolts onto that end, and it's that simple. Also, I had to go searching for the bolts for it. This has been apart over 2 years, and my bolt bin ended up with them in it. So anyways, I found them. Okay, I think that's threaded in there. There's no room for activities in here. Only one of 4 is kind of fighting me, so I'm just going to stick it in there with the impact. It looks just a hair crooked. Not the stripped bolt, I mean the drive shaft, so it's just fighting. This thing's not strong at all. Okay, you can see how there's a slit there, and it doesn't line up with this screw, so we got to spin one of these. Okay, I got a pry bar in here now. So the engine's hard to turn over. There we go. Good theory, but that spun too. There we go. That's pretty tight. Oh yeah, it's on there. So the last time this truck worked was way out a Forest Service road called Gang Ranch. My buddy Evan was driving it, and it was our very last day. We were heading home, and this thing sprung a leak out of the PTO. It was dripping oil all over the ground, so we pulled the drive shaft to get it home in the meantime. So this will be its first start with the PTO system hooked up. Let's see what happens. That sucks. You've seen it leaking. Telling me that seal's compromised and not going to be able to reuse it. That's a shame. I pulled this cover off, pulled this drive shaft back out, and I think I can use the camera to see here. So anyways, looks like that C-clip's got to come back out. And I don't know, maybe I'll just pull this motor or this hydraulic pump off. It's just 4 bolts. Lots of stuff going to it, but it might hang down just enough to let me work on it. I don't know, to be honest. It didn't go springing across the floor, I found it. So what I'm doing is looking for a number. I'm not seeing one. See a number, sort of. 35 dash something. Over here we have more damage. Show you how to pull a seal. I find drywall screws work really well. I'm just going to go into the flat spot so I don't wreck the numbers. You get it started in there like that. Then you can just take a pair of pliers, side cutters, whatever, and 35 dash something, but like I said, it's damaged. I can't quite make out what it's trying to tell me. I'm just checking the shaft for damage. I don't feel any wear marks. I'm just measuring the seal out here. My battery's dead, but this little nub in here lines up at the edge of the millimeter mark. So we're going to be looking for a seal that is 52 millimeters wide, 35 mil inside diameter, 7 mil thick. So we got 52 by 35 by 7. They close at 4:30. It's 4:40. Well, Lordco's the only one that's open. I gave him the measurements and I was told we might be lucky if you come in and match it up with something. Alright, I guess we'll go to town and see if they can find me one. And I pulled this hose off quick too so I can take it and get the right fitting. I'll see you guys back in a couple hours. If you joined my channel to see this thing running, I want to just apologize quick. I posted the video of getting this thing running and working on it, and 3 days later it warmed up and my snow melted, and this thing has sat here ever since because I got tied up with many other projects. I wanted to do a really good job of putting this thing in a video with riding it and stuff, so I'm kind of on hold putting it together. So I've got the motor mounts and the clutch parts to change on it, but we won't be riding it until next year now. Makes me a little bit sad. However, we've got other things going on in the shop. I really don't want to just throw a quick parts replacement video together if I'm not able to test the machine, you know. We need to be able to take it out on the trails and do some real riding. So anyways, this will definitely be back next year. Stay tuned. So I've got the pump part, so the seal, I've got it coming. Let's work on this tarp. You can clearly see where the problem is, so we just have to glue that back together. If you've never seen that, they've got little drill bits on the end of them so they can make their own holes. It's not working. The screw broke off in there. At all. I'm trying to get it to roll in, and the motor wasn't working. I looked in here, and we got a wire off. I just want to make sure it works before I might put a new eyelet on that, I don't know. That sounds better. Is it going the right way? I guess that depends on which way you want it to go, doesn't it? I don't know, I'm putting the switch towards the inside. So the switch has an in and out button on it. I just don't know if I want this to loop around the other way or not. I don't think it really matters, to be completely honest. But do we want it underneath like that, or do we want it over top? I don't know. What would you guys do? Let me know in the comments if you would have rolled it the other way. I'm going to keep going this way and I'll show you why inside. You know what? I'm going to go the other way so that anything that comes up here can just fall instead of actually wrapping itself up, if you know what I mean. It's just hitting the side there and there. This is why I wanted to go the one direction, because we've got tarp in and tarp out. So tarp out is actually tarp in now. So this end of the switch dictates the direction of the tarp. But if I didn't leave it on top, you see all the crap that just falls off the top of the tarp? That would all be wrapped up inside of it and probably cause some sort of an issue with the tarp rubbing through. So that's how it was when we got the truck. That's how it is now. Whatever. And I gotta pull these out of here too. Those are grater blades in there, if you didn't know. Grater blades are really good for building stuff. Here's the old seal for the PTO. And here's the new seal. It's brown instead of black, but it looks identical. 35, 25, 6/6.5 is the numbers on this one. The old number was SOM0053. So if you're working on a Muncie pump, those are the numbers you're looking for. Napa had this in stock, so I was really happy about that. I don't know, what do you guys think? Just push it in? Okay, I think I got it all the way in there. That turns. Get the snap ring in here, and we're gonna hope for the best. It didn't go in perfectly straight, but it did go in, so. Okay, drive shaft. Man, I hope that doesn't leak. So I had my camera on time lapse by complete accident, but I got it in there. All the bolts are tight. This guy is nice and tight, it's flush. So I really hope it doesn't leak. It's either gonna leak or it won't. Well, here goes nothing. That sucks. So I go to the part, I was going to silicone it, but it's leaking out of the center. The center wasn't damaged, so I don't really understand. Maybe there's just a little bit of surface rust that might seal itself up. I don't know. Maybe we'll just run it for a bit. Okay, I beat on that seal quite a bit, and I did actually get it in just a bit more, so maybe it'll ride on a fresher section. It looks like it might still be weeping just ever so barely, but I don't see any reason why. The shaft was in good shape before I pushed this on, I know that. So, I don't know, back together it goes. It's always funny when you fix a leak that you've been fighting for a while. There's so much doubt. But that just ran and it's dry, so call that fixed. This is for the ABS, this wire here. You want to see something really funny? There, I had a bunch of screws in there. That's way better. So I'll tell you the story quick. So I hardly ever talk about him, but my dad passed away just over a year and a half ago. Anyways, he always had a rule, don't text and drive, and that's why. He was cruising along a road, leaving a gravel pit, and one of those yellow gates that kind of sit on hinges swung out in front of him, and he didn't realize it. It wasn't right in the road, but it was over just enough, and he was, I'm 90% sure he was actually looking for my contact information to send to someone. Anyways, he was staring at his phone, and this yellow gate went through here, through here. So this was all pushed way back to here. This chair was tweaked way farther in there, and the gate poked right out of the back. The way he told the story, he goes, "I'm just driving along and all of a sudden I got an uninvited passenger beside me." The uninvited passenger was the yellow gate. Came straight through the front of the truck, in through the cab, into the seat, and then through the back. And the most ironic part of this whole thing was I was going to be riding with him that day. So the way I was giving him a hard time, I told him, "Man, can you imagine if I was with you, the gate would have gone right through me." Mind you, if he was with me, then I would have been like, "Hey, don't hit this gate," and it would have also been like, "Hey, don't text and drive." And anyways, yeah, so that's what happened. That's why this is all damaged. Dad's friend Ray came over. You've seen Ray in some of my other videos digging a trench for propane through ice. Ray helped us fix all this, and he lent us some things to hold it all together and stuff. So that's a little story on why you don't text and drive. You might run into a gate and it might become your unwanted passenger. So anyways, I got this bolted on. I got this fixed. The reason I want to swap the rims over is obviously that is not good. These are off of Louise, off my dump truck. The reason I put them on this was because there's no tread on these and I needed to work last year. So anyways, we're selling this truck. I don't know what I'm gonna do about that. I might leave it. And the rest of it is, I guess, good enough to list and sell. These things are only worth so much. Sterling's not a good truck. If any of you are curious, I've got this listed for 45 grand Canadian. That's like 30 or something US. Not a clue about Australian or New Zealand dollars or UK dollars, euros, I guess. Yeah, I don't know the conversions. Anyways, 45k Canadian's what I'm asking for this thing. By the time you see this video, it'll likely be sold. So yeah, I don't know if I mentioned, but my dad passing away was kind of the whole reason I started my YouTube channel. We did everything together. We had a paving outfit for many years, and then we relocated to the Caribou, and the paving thing stayed far away. We gave that up right away because it's pretty cold up here, so you're only getting like 2 months of work. Anyways, we got dump trucking, and I bought my excavator, my Cat 307 SSR, and yeah, we just kind of went into dirt work business. I was always the dirt guy, and he'd always be the dump truck guy, and then I bought my dump truck because he was getting so many calls to go to work that he was having to turn down work, and I thought, hey, if I buy an inexpensive truck, I can take up the leftover work. So I did, and yeah, we got called away to go to work out at what's called Gang Ranch. If you have a look back, one of my very first videos posted, it's called Driving Dump Trucks. That's out at the Gang Ranch. That was with myself, and my buddy Evan would have been in that video. That was the month that my dad passed away. So we were working way the hell out of service, like 4 hours out of service, and he did 1 day worth of work out of there, got a flat front tire, and his friend came and picked him up. We got the tire changed, and he looks at me, he goes, "I'm not feeling great." So I ended up bringing him back to the hospital, and within 2 days he passed away. So not a good experience. Definitely wish I had that guy back. Anyways, my dad also taught me kind of sort of everything I know about mechanics to a point. I'm more advanced now, but yeah, he was the reason I got into mechanics, because I was always fixing his stuff, and yeah. So every time you see a Mike's Mechanics video out there, my dad's name was Bruce. You know Bruce is watching too. If you ever notice, I'm kind of talking to the camera like you're a buddy. And I'm kind of talking to my dad a little bit because he's the whole reason for all this. Anyways, I don't know what my next step is. I got this thing buttoned up. Let's get it outside. And I don't see any leaking. That makes me incredibly happy, folks. I just want to empty this. Probably didn't aim you so you could see what I was doing, but I moved all those. Yeah, good hardened steel is what that is. I actually bought a rotary nozzle. I think it was in one of my videos, but it broke inside, so I tore it apart and soldered it. This is the first time I'm using it. I turned the camera off and like clockwork the thing ran out of gas. Sure cleans it up nice though. That's where I couldn't reach. I'll lift the box and keep going, but that's what I'll be doing for an hour. Oh, these Amazon caps for these Amazon nozzles were the best money I've ever spent. Listen, if you're going to sell something, you really got to make sure you wash it. I don't know how many times I've showed up to check something out and it's just disgusting. And then I use the tactic of, well man, if you can't even wash your stuff, how good a shape can it actually be in? And I end up buying stuff for much less than they've got it listed for. So anyways, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe on the way out. Have a good one.